When I heard that Brian Henson, son of the famous puppeteer Jim Henson, was gonna make an R-rated film about puppets, I was quite interested. I mean, except for maybe a movie like Team America World Police and stuff online like Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, puppets are always seen as a medium aimed at children. Therefore, someone taking the effort to make something really different sounded intriguing to me. And though it took me a bit to get to it, I did indeed watch Brian Henson's film, The Happytime Murders. What do I think now that I've watched the film? Well, let's jump in. Set in a world where puppets coexist with humans but are considered second-class citizens, Phil Phillips is a down-on-his-luck puppet who once served as the first ever puppet police officer, but was fired after a nasty incident left an innocent puppet dead and his partner critically wounded. Now working as a private investigator, Phil thinks his days working for the LAPD are far behind him until two puppets from an old TV sitcom, the Happytime Gang, wind up dead. Believing that the cast of the show are purposely being targeted, Phil is brought on as a consultant and forced to team up with his ex-partner Connie Edwards, who he is on less than great terms with. However, with the rest of the show's cast still in danger, and the murderer somewhere out there, the two must put their differences aside in order to crack the case and bring down the killer before they can strike again. So I'm not going to beat around the bush and just say it, but this isn't a very good movie. While you might think the problem would be that the movie's too vulgar or raunchy, which, I mean, it is, the real problem I had is that that's all it was. I mean, when you look at a movie like Sausage Party, for instance, yes, it's raunchy, and boy, can it make you roll your eyes a bit at how far it goes, but at the same time, it's also a really good parody of similar-looking kid-friendly films and has this deeper theme on existentialism. Not only that, but at the end of the day, it even has a pretty cohesive plot with good pacing. This movie, on the other hand, has none of those things. The pacing, for instance, feels really weird, with it basically being a series of gags at each crime scene, stitched together with some basic detective stuff. While it's not the worst execution in the world, it seems like the kind of thing that would have worked better as an Adult Swim TV series instead of a full-blown movie. Likewise, the plot is super thin, with the movie basically boiling down to, hey, watch these puppets swear over and over as some other puppets get killed off. The problem here is that the movie isn't even creative in its weirdness. I mean, someone tells me it's a movie about puppets getting killed, and I expect some creative deaths, not most of them just getting shot to death. I find this to be a shame, because while we could have gotten this mature Who Framed Roger Rabbit-esque film with, I don't know, puppet gore and some really creative gags, instead we get a movie where the whole joke is, get it? It's funny because they're puppets and they're acting like people, but naughty. Honestly, I think fellow YouTuber Jared Buckendahl put it best in his review when he says that
a lot of it had to do around the fact that it was a general idea of just like, let's have this puppet say a bad word. That concept or idea can only be funny so many times, and there's definitely diminishing returns, especially after a puppet says for the 47th time.
Now, with that being said, nothing is without merit though, and this movie does have some positives as well. First of all, when it comes to the puppeteering, the work done to bring the puppets to life is great, and the way they all interact with the human world so well is exactly what you would expect from a Henson movie. All of the puppeteers credited seem to be pros that have worked on stuff before like the Muppets and such, so props to them, and especially Bill Beretta, for I would say a great job as Phil Phillips. Likewise, I also want to give some props to Melissa McCarthy. While she is stuck in a film that is far from great, she still manages to deliver some really good lines. For example, when a junkie puppet keeps offering to suck her for 50 cents, the way she responds with how that's a pretty good bargain and she almost wishes she had a for him to suck honestly made me laugh. While the jokes are all like this where they aren't super clever or anything, there is some fun delivery here and there, so I would count that as a positive. In conclusion, there isn't much to say when it comes to this review, since this movie doesn't really have much going on. On the one hand, there are some positives, such as the occasional funny joke, good performance by the cast, and excellent puppeteering, but then again, all of this is brought down by its thin plot, bad pacing, and lack of creativity. While I get that the wasted potential won't be a big deal for everyone, and some people may in fact enjoy it for the dumb raunchy fun that it is, even then, I'd suggest waiting to rent it or stream it instead of rushing to the nearest cinema to watch it. But hey, that's just my opinion. And remember, don't take anything I say too seriously. After all, I'm just the Wannabe Reviewer. Thanks for watching.
What you doing, boy? Turning that blood clock, buckshots. They fly through the truck spots.